We have three amazing individuals to honor this evening. And we're going to start with Rachel Vasak, who many of you know. And Rachel has devoted the last 23 years of her life to restoring salmon runs and supporting thriving salmon populations across Whatcom County. I suspect quite a few of us at different times maybe have attended, maybe you've helped with cleanups or had the opportunity to participate in some of the amazing salmon restoration work that Rachel and her organization has done. She's the executive director of the Nooksack Salmon Enhancement Association, known as NC for many of us, a volunteer-powered organization dedicated to restoring sustainable wild salmon runs in Whatcom County. What a great thing to do. NC is one of Washington State's largest regional fisheries enhancement groups, which is a network of 14 nonprofits created by the state legislature to promote salmon recovery. Since 1991, the association has completed over 400 restoration projects. That's just phenomenal. So we are honored to have you here, Rachel. Please come up and be honored.
First of all, thank you so much to the team at Resources, not just for this evening, but for your work to improve our community and our environment. On behalf of NC and our incredibly hardworking board, staff, volunteers, interns, I'm really honored to accept this award tonight. Thank you. At NC, we firmly believe that salmon are an essential part of our Pacific Northwest culture, economy, and perhaps most importantly, our environment. Salmon are our proverbial canary in the coal mine. As a result, recovering salmon, with several species listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act, is a lofty goal. I want to talk to you about that goal, why it matters, and how we as individuals, and even more importantly, as a community, really need to dig in and work together to make a difference. To understand NC's work, it's important to understand the context of salmon recovery, what it means, and what it involves. In our watersheds here in Whatcom County, salmon recovery is led by the co-managers. That's the Lummi Nation, the Nooksack Tribe, and Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. Other important salmon recovery partners locally include other government agencies and non-government organizations, like Whatcom Conservation District, Resources, Whatcom Land Trust, NC, and others. Each one of these salmon recovery partners plays an important role, and none of us could have a hope of recovering salmon by working alone. Partnerships matter. And what is NC's niche? NC's focus is on engaging our community in the active process of salmon recovery. We do this through restoration, education, and ample stewardship opportunities. Personally, I first met and became deeply involved with NC in 1996 when I was a student at some local university some of you might have heard of. I was studying streams and stream health. I volunteered to plant some trees along a local creek. Coincidentally, this is purely coincidence, that creek is about half a mile from where we sit tonight. It seems like such a simple act, but planting a tree is an action. And that, in turn, is an investment in a healthier future for salmon, for wildlife, for people, and most importantly, for our environment. That action creates hope. And hope is compounded when we add the element of time that a long-term commitment brings. Especially when I'm discouraged, I'll go visit those trees that I planted, 20-some years ago now. They're presently over 50 feet tall. The roots of those trees stabilize the stream banks, preventing erosion. Those trees provide shade, which keeps the water cool, so that salmon can survive and thrive. That particular creek has been transformed from being an area where salmon die because the water is too hot for them to oversummer. to a creek where salmon can thrive year-round. Each fall, salmon spawn there, and right now, the young, the offspring, the juvenile salmon, are in that creek, swimming, probably not feeding right now, but they're surviving and thriving in that local creek. I can assure you that each project like this adds up. Together, we're building a puzzle of restoration projects that extends throughout our watersheds. NC's work builds bridges, both literally and figuratively. Daryl and our restoration team lead science-based habitat restoration projects that consistently improve watershed health. These projects include removing fish passage barriers and replacing those barriers with actual literal bridges so the fish can swim through the creeks to access habitat upstream. In order to do this work, much of which is on private properties, we must also work very hard to build relationships with landowners. This means learning what matters to those landowners and honoring that. It means taking the time to provide them with real information about what restoration projects entail and to find and establish common ground. These efforts become the figurative bridges that in turn create opportunities for those physical bridges now and those other restoration projects of the future. Anitra and our program team focus on providing education and stewardship opportunities to community members in all of the watersheds that make up our local landscape. NC educates community members of all ages about salmon habitat, and about stewardship. Our Students for Salmon program gives each student an opportunity to study their local watershed, learning what their backyard creek needs, and helping be part of the solution. They get to take action in this program and beyond. But I want to stress that it's not fair to wait for these kids to grow up and to saddle them with fixing this environment. As you know well, we need action now, and this is why we work hard to restore habitat, to plant more trees on a continuous basis. My husband Ryan and I have a middle school age child, and like Shannon, I think a lot about the future that he's inheriting. And while I certainly worry, I also believe in hope, and I think that hope is stronger than that. Our stewardship programs focus on offering opportunities to plant trees along local creeks. We hope to give everyone in our community an opportunity to take an active role in this process. There's so much important work to do, but if you ask me, taking a few hours to invest in a healthier future by planting some trees is time well spent. This is the kind of action that gives me hope, and this hope keeps me coming back, ready for the challenges that we need to work on together if we're to have a hope of accomplishing anything. And to all of you, you're really my environmental heroes. You're the ones that give me hope. You show up, you care, you vote, you donate, you volunteer, you plant trees. In recognizing NC's efforts tonight, you're also celebrating your own commitment to a better future. So again, thank you very, very much. Thank you for all that you do to help make our world a better place.